Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind, the reunion. And one of the best things about the seasons changing from summer to fall is that us Seattleites get to bust out our favorite flannels. Let's watch.
Very much still together, but just to confirm, you are still married, correct?
Yes,
okay.
We are happily married.
Boy, good. Love that for you guys.
So we're learning that Lydia and Milton are still together after a year and a half, I think. And then Izzy says, I love that for you. Usually that's a sarcastic way of saying that you're excited about something. Oh, I love that for you. Meaning for you, not for, well, I guess that is what he would be saying, not for me.
I mean, you had to have had some opportunity in the time you were together to broach that subject.
I didn't think it was going to be that huge because obviously with people in the pods before, they knew that about me.
Why didn't you tell me about that?
Because I felt like we never had that conversation in the pods. Like we talked finances in depth.
Okay, so he is saying not only Johnny did he tell this to, but he told other people. So I could see two things. One, that he just didn't remember that he didn't tell her, which would be weird, especially when they started to meet in person. Or what? There was something about Stacy, because if you just think he is generally disclosing a set of things, and he would disclose that to Johnny and others in the pods, then why would he not disclose that to Stacy? Because he thought that Stacy might actually be upset about that, and so he just refrained from it. Another possibility is that he didn't do it consciously. It might have been unconscious. By the time they met in person, though, when Money, especially after meeting with the family, you would think immediately, you would say, okay, I knew that you were into wealth and that sort of thing, but I didn't know it was like that. I mean, the way your dad talked, so I need to talk with you about something, and you just think you would do that right away. Now, it's edited, so we don't know. Maybe it did happen right after that, but it wasn't edited that way anyway. So, yeah. I just wish he would say, and I've been saying this from the beginning, I just wish he would say, well, tell you the truth, I definitely was going to tell her. I knew that was important regardless, and I knew it was specifically important for Stacy. And I knew it was going to be a huge conversation. I didn't want to just have 5 minutes, and I kept waiting for a moment, and I guess looking back, I was avoiding it because I was worried, but it wasn't like I was trying to withhold it. I knew I was going to tell her. I was just terrified, and I waited too long. I just wish he would say something like that, but I don't know, maybe that's not even true.
Didn't anything like that, and
I asked if we did talk about finances, and I was like, is there anything I need to know? Do you have any debt? You're like, nope, we're good. Like, no student loans, nothing.
Yeah, everything was paid off.
That is what they were saying before. And maybe we'll get more details here because, as I said when we first learned this detail, to have a partner that is not in debt of his age is actually huge. That's wonderful. The average person that you would probably marry or engage to would probably be 50, 100. I think I looked up the stats in the United States. The household average debt is over $100,000. So the fact that he's not in debt, that's actually pretty great. And we learned that he just has a bad credit score, so he can't, or his credit cards would have. I have a hard time believing that no one would give him a credit card, right? I mean, I don't know. Would no one give him a credit card? I also read an article that People magazine interviewed her, and she said that it wasn't just the credit score, it was also his job and his benefits and that sort of thing. I don't know. I'm not going to rehash all that.
Like I just had bad credit. Like that was it. Like I didn't owe any money anywhere or anything.
Do you think there was a part of you, the pressure that made you, I'm just guessing, like embarrassed to say because you saw a life that she was accustomed to?
Yeah, it's a great question. That'd be the question that I would ask. I don't know if I'd use embarrassed. I think I would use a different word than that because some people might interpret that as a weak thing instead of saying the way that I said it earlier.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just seeing from the background, her and her family came from and how hard they've worked and like now the lives that they have. I'm not used to that. I didn't come from that. And so like I'm working to get where I, want to be.
Yeah, I just feel bad for him. Just that this would be the reason that because she hasn't said anything in the article, and people on the show, she hasn't said anything like, well, there was a lot of issues, like we weren't compatible, or I just didn't feel that spark. Maybe that I almost hope that actually is the real reason why she said no. To just say no because of that, and just credit, if he was this totally irresponsible person with a track record of, bankruptcies and in debt, he still lives with his parents and he can't get credit cards, and he doesn't have a job or a career, and he keeps getting fired, or he doesn't show up to work, or he has this philosophy of like, well, the universe will provide, and he's always mooching off other people, then okay. But just his credit score, I just don't understand. There's so many options available to someone. I mean, there are limited options. It definitely limits you, but it doesn't prevent you from getting a job and having a career and earning money and saving money and having a prosperous life. It just means that probably you're paying a lot of cash for things, which is not a bad idea for Americans to do. I hope that I hope they ask her, was there anything else that Stacey's the why you said no?
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't the whole thing, like I'm not going to say like I kept it so long just because I was scared. I just also felt like there wasn't the right time, but when is the right time, right?
Izzy, what happened after?
Okay, so he's basically saying a version of what I was wondering about, that he was embarrassed, because he hadn't said that yet. He, on the edit anyway, he was always saying, it just hadn't come up yet, or there just wasn't a good time. And that just doesn't seem likely, given that they were together so often. So yeah, he's saying, yeah, I was embarrassed, and I kept waiting for a good time, but when's a good time, right? It's just that, right? You're always like, oh, well, not now, not today. I don't want to ruin today, but at some point you're going to have to ruin a day.
Did you guys date after that?
Mm-mm.
So after that.
Do you want me to?
Yes.
Oh, I'll leave. Okay.
Okay, so it sounds like they might have dated or might have gotten together or something. That's interesting. It certainly didn't look that way to me, but...
It was probably a week or two after that.
It was a week, and it was a really hard week for me, because when someone's my person and I'm going through such a hard time, I can understand that I needed.
Wait, so they were going to see each other, because the edit of the show at the wedding day, at least the way it looked, they were done, like kaput. And so now they had a conversation that they would give some time, which presumably would have happened the wedding day or soon after. Okay. So are they together?
Those couple of days, but there's after like day 3 or 4 where it's like, all right, I miss you, I need you. Like, where are you? And I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know if you were still my fiance. I didn't know if you were my girlfriend. I didn't even know where anything was going.
So either he was just in denial because she was being clear or somewhat clear, or they did not break up. Well, I just watched the episode a couple days ago when it came out. I'm watching this actually right as it was aired, by the way. This episode of this reaction video will come out, I don't know, 10 months later, depending. But so it's only been a couple days of me thinking that they were done, but okay.
We met on that Friday, and we went out on a date, and we talked at her place, and something just in my gut just knew something was off, and I just asked her, I was like, are you even feeling this? And she just said like she didn't and she couldn't right now. And
okay. Well, I guess that's good that they at least gave it a shot post the altar, because it seemed like there was a possibility. It would have been a shame if they didn't at least try. And it's also, I guess, on the plus side that it didn't last too long beyond that. Yeah, because if I were him, I'd be like, so I don't understand. Okay, we kiss at the altar. There seemed to be love and affection, especially coming up to that moment. And then just because you said no at the altar, that means we can't see each other. It just seems like we should try. But apparently she said she wasn't feeling it anymore. And again, I hope that she will say, look, putting the money aside, the finances aside, really the issue was this other thing.
I, in that moment, was shocked And I think why I was so hurt by everything, I mean, I was so mad at her after that, because I thought we were really gonna try. And yeah, and I was so upset, I just walked out and I didn't talk to you for a year.
Interesting. Well, he didn't reach out to her and she didn't reach out to him, right? So I think it was mutual. And by the way, it was two things. One, it was kind of interesting when they introduced the show and there's just two couples. Yay, just this like pretty pathetic applause. It just looks so sad because usually there's so many. And with the Seattle, not to say we're better than Houston, of course, but there were how many couples? Several, right? Especially when Zach and Bliss were added. And they also had Jackie and Marshall. Or no, Jackie wasn't there, but Marshall was. Anyway, but the other thing that I am really happy about is there's no crowd. I was on a walk with Stacy earlier today, and I was like, oh, yeah, the reunion's tonight. I was like, oh, there's going to be a crowd, and everyone's going to be like, ooh, ooh. You know, like their reactions were almost always the opposite of what I was thinking people should react. It just felt like a Jerry Springer episode, like a bad Jerry Springer episode. And I couldn't tell if they just selected a bunch of people who don't think like me, or if they hyped up the crowd, which can happen, of like, okay, we really want you to have a reaction, so make sure, you know. And it was a minority of people that were actually having those reactions, and the rest of the people were more along the lines of the sort of reaction that I would have. I mean, the reactions I would have would just be to be quiet and listen to people. Wouldn't be. Anyway, so I'm really glad that there's no crowd. I think that's great. Because in the beginning of the show, when they had reunions, it was all during the pandemic years, right? So they didn't have crowds because of that. So I was worried. It was like, well, they have a crowd at season 4. Is that a trend forevermore now? We're always going to have a Jerry Springer crowd, but apparently not. That's good.
For a year.
For a year.
Like, it was too much. It was way too much. And it's like, the cameras are gone. Let's be real about this right now. Like, do we need to start over? And I felt like we needed to start over. And I feel like you were just like, if we're starting over, going backwards, I don't want to do it, kind of a thing.
Well, that sounds different than what he said. Which one was it? Or was it another option or in between? She's saying she wanted to start over. Well, what does that mean exactly? And he said no. That sounds dubious. Why would he say no to that? Unless it meant what he means, where he's thinking that it was that she wasn't into it. If maybe what happened was she says, I want to start over, meaning I don't want to be exclusive. Is that what she said? Because that's different than I just want to start over, right? Because I just want to start over would mean, well, I don't even know what that means to people. What would that mean? Usually you say that after you have a huge fight or something. Or did she say, I want to start over, meaning I don't want to get married anytime soon. So let's just really take it slow, like once a week kind of a thing, dating. And then he's like, no, that's not what I'm looking for. So yeah, that sounds more likely. I don't know.
A year goes by, and then you guys reach out again.
No. We ran into each other out. We ran into each other. Oh, God.
Okay, we'll get to that. Don't, that's a juicy one. So today, right now, are you guys together?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, it seems likely that they would not be together. I guess they had them sit together, because usually they have them sit apart if they're not together, right? Right? I feel like that's usually the case. But if they were sitting apart, then there would only be one person on one side of the room. I don't know. It's just kind of comical that there's only two couples. All right, well, let's adjourn there. I want to actually open some packages from y'all that sent them in for the 15th anniversary, and they didn't get to us in time, so I thought I would just open it here. Here is a postcard from, good old patron Caitlin sent another postcard. I actually have your other postcard, Caitlin, upstairs in my living room because I just like it so much. Here is a package from, good old soft noodles. Good old soft noodles from the Netherlands. Oh, are these the are these the comics. I don't know if you can see this. You can always pause it to see the whole thing, but it's I just love this stuff because it reminds me of alternative comics that were in the early 90s, that it was sort of a thing in Seattle. I don't know if it was probably all over the world, I don't know, but I had friends that would publish zines and stuff. They would go to the copy shop and they would copy their comic, and then they would staple it with a stapler and color it in, and then they'd hand it out or sell it and that sort of thing. And so there's one for Berto, one for Bob, one for Rebecca. So yeah, these are going to go on my office door. This is one for Rebecca. It's really great. And shout out to Soft Noodles. You can find her art at Soft Noodles Doodles. So just a shout out to Soft Noodles on Instagram. And if you want to send in something, a card or fan art, you can use the address that's on our website. You just go to our website, psychologyseattle.com. You should be able to scroll down and see our mailing address there. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.